Good morning, guys. I'm going to go ahead and make some chicken soup today. It's such a blustery day outside. We had wonderful weather yesterday. While it was windy, we had 72 degree with sunny skies. We've had tornadoes last night. We've had flash flooding. So it's been kind of crazy. So I'm going to go ahead and make a chicken soup, and that's going to be for dinner. And I will probably also make a batch of the gluten-free muffins, and I'll put the recipe for that. I did a video on that a few days ago, so I'll link that in the description. But we're going to go ahead and get that going, and then the leftovers, because I'm going to make a big batch, I'm actually going to can and process in the pressure canner, and I'm going to show you guys how to do that too. So here we go. All right, so what I've got in here is a whole layer chicken that I butchered this past week. She wasn't laying anymore, so now she's serving my family another way. I've got her almost all the way covered. I'm going to add a little bit more water once I add the rest of the ingredients because I want her completely covered. So get me a knife, and we're going to add a whole onion chopped, as well as about 3-4 cloves of garlic. Then we're going to add probably 4 good-sized ribs of celery that I've already got washed. I just need to trim them up. I would just do bite-sized, 1/2 inch to 1 inch slices. I like to can some of it so I have meals that I can just take out and heat, so they're ready to go on busy days. So if I can this, then I can just make biscuits and be good to go. In there. And then we're going to add some carrots. I don't peel mine, I just wash them. Cut the tops off. Same thing, about 1/2 inch slices. Ooh, I think my knife needs sharpened. So I've got 6 carrots in here. Now I'll also add maybe like some green peas. Sometimes I add kale. I've got some zucchini I really need to use up, but zucchini doesn't tend to hold up very well canning. It gets really mushy. So I don't know that I'm going to do that this time. I'll definitely add some green peas. I'm going to let this simmer for a while, and we'll add the peas in later. You can add green beans, spinach, potatoes if you wanted to kind of make it a little more hearty. And the rest of the celery. We're going to add a couple tablespoons, or about a tablespoon of kosher salt. Some pepper. Probably about 1/2 teaspoon. I don't measure a whole lot when I cook. And then about a teaspoon of thyme. I pick up most of my spices from the Amish. There's an local Amish store that's about 45 minutes away from us, so I like to go there. And then we're gonna add a little bit more water. We're gonna cover it and we're gonna let it simmer. This is gonna simmer probably a good 5-6 hours. Then I take the chicken out and we'll shred it up and debone it, take all the bones out, and just shred the meat up and put it back in here. And then we'll add the peas, let it heat to boiling just to cook the peas through, and that will be dinner. And then I'll show you later on how I can it. So we've been having it simmering on low for most of the day. I actually found some okra that I had frozen from last year's garden. So I'm gonna add that okra. I just chopped it. I'm gonna put that into the soup. I'm also gonna add frozen peas. I didn't buy peas or grow peas last year, so I just got a bag of organic sweet peas. I'm gonna throw a whole bag of those in there. And I already pulled out the chicken. So that's my chicken. I'm gonna start breaking it up and just pulling the pieces off and putting it in there. I turn the heat back up to medium-high, so that way it can get back up to temperature, heat it all the way through. My husband requested noodles tonight, so I guess I'm going to divide this in half, add noodles to part of it, and actually the noodles will just cook in the broth. So I'll show you what it looks like once I get all the chicken in there, because otherwise you'll just be staring at me the whole time I do this, and I don't know how entertaining that is. Okay, here's what it looks like after I got everything added. I did wind up adding some fresh parsley as well. So I'm gonna let this simmer for about another half hour or so. I'll divide it up, put the noodles and cook the noodles in the one half for dinner. And then the other half I'll go ahead and get ready for canning, and I will show you how to do that. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna start canning. So I have my handy dandy little funnel for the jars. I'm using quart jars, and I've already heated them up, so they're pretty warm to the touch. You want to heat your jars a little bit. So you can put them actually in the oven at about 150 or so and just leave them in there for about 10 minutes. I've already got my Presto canner. I'll show you that. So I have a Presto canner, and I'm already getting the water hot in there. And then my soup is good and hot. My jar lids have already gotten hot. So we're gonna start adding in the soup. You're gonna fill these up, and when you fill them up, I kind of try to equally distribute the goodies, so to speak, the chicken and the veggies and the broth. So we're gonna add that, and you're gonna fill it till it's about a half inch to, well, yeah, about a half inch to an inch head space. So if you can see on the jar, you want to bring it up to just below the neck of the jar. Okay, and then I'm going to, I forgot to grab a cloth. Ah, there's one. Okay, I'm going to take a cloth, and we're just going to wipe the ledge. We just want to make sure that it's clean so we can get a good seal. I'm going to put my warm lid on, put my ring on, and then this is going to go in the canner. I'm going to fill the rest of these up. And then once I like to refer back to, I have a couple of different canning books. This one is the ball canning book. A lot of times you can even look online and get the information if you don't have the book. But for quarts, it's actually an hour and, where'd it go? An hour and 30 minutes. So these are going to be in there for a while. So I'm going to go ahead and fill these up. I'm going to get it up to pressure. We're going to heat it up. We're going to put the lid on. Okay. We're going to put all the jars in here, put the lid on, and then we're going to wait until the steam starts coming out of it. We're going to let it vent the steam for 10 minutes. After that 10 minutes, we're going to go ahead and put our weight on. We'll let the temperature come up to 10 pounds per pressure. Not temperature, I'm sorry, the pressure come up to 10 pounds pressure. And then we will start the timer for an hour and 30 minutes. As soon as we get to that, keep an eye on it, because sometimes you have to adjust your heat as you get up to pressure. Sometimes it'll go over and you need to turn your heat down. Once it gets to that hour and 30-minute mark, I'll turn the heat off and I just let it sit. I don't do anything else to it. I leave it alone. Sometimes I'll even let it sit overnight. You want to make sure that your pressure is all the way down to nothing. And if you have a gauge, it helps you a little bit better than if you just have a jiggler, because you don't want any pressure. If you pull that weight off before your pressure is released, you're going to suck the liquid out of your jars, and that's not going to be a good thing. It's going to mess up your canning process. So I'm going to go ahead and finish these up, and then once the canning process is all the way completed, I will show you the finished product. I think I'll go ahead and also show you guys what the gauge and everything on the Presto maker looks like too. All right, so I've got all the jars packed in there. We've got 6 quarts. And then if you look, there's the dial. Here's your vent. The steam's already starting to come out of that. This over here is your safety valve. So once I get it up and the steam has vented, I'll put the weight on here, and then the safety release valve will actually pop up. And then I'll slowly see my pressure rise on this. I do want to tell you that periodically you should have these tested to be sure that they're working correctly. And that can be done typically at your local county extension office. So I know over here we have one, and actually before I really get into serious canning, I'm going to take it up and get it tested before the harvest season begins. Okay, so here is pressure rising. As you can see, I've got my weight on there. It's up just barely over the 5, and there's the safety valve that popped. So as soon as this gets up to 10, we'll set our timer for an hour and 30 minutes. And here is the finished product. So I will label them with the date and put them in the cupboard to be used later on. But that is my chicken soup.